Hi everybody, this is Bonnie with Bonnie Bay Crochet. Today I want to show you how to make the easy Primrose scarf. This is a one hank wonder using only one hank of fingering weight yarn from the Yarnsmith. And of course you can use any yarn that you prefer. If you want even to use thicker yarn, that's okay. Just make sure you upsize the hook to match your yarn. And it's a really fun stitch. It is totally reversible, and I'm just ready to get started on it right now. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what you're going to need. For this project, I'm going to be using this beautiful yarn by the Yarnsmith. Let me show you some stats on this. This is by the Yarnsmith. It's called Swappin Yarns. That's the name of the color. This is a fingering weight yarn, which is also a #1 weight. This has 463 yards. This yarn is 75% Merino wool, 25% nylon. This is a superwash Merino. And I'm really excited about this very washed out look yarn. Just give you a little look at that. I'm a big fan of wearing jeans, jackets, and jeans. I think this is going to look really great with that. Now, if you don't like this particular shade, you can use any fingering weight yarn, and there are many other brilliant yarn options in this particular category. I'm also recommending that you have a size G or 6 or 4.00 millimeter crochet hook if you are working with a fingering weight yarn. Now, if you choose to use different yarn, make sure that you match the hook to the yarn size. I'm also recommending that you have a pair of sharp scissors and a yarn needle handy. To begin, we're going to work a slip knot, and we're going to work a starting chain of 42 chains. Okay, before I complete this chain, let me also mention that I also get a lot of questions about how many multiples this, how many multiples that, and I try to answer where I can. For this particular project, if you want to, let's say, use thicker yarn, you certainly can. Make sure you upsize your hook, and you can change the multiple. This works for any multiple of 3, which is a very convenient multiple for this particular project. It doesn't always work out that way with some of my works. But since this is an easier scarf, if you wanted to make this smaller, you can make it thinner by just changing the multiples. Just, again, any multiple of 3 will work. But anyway, I'm just wanted to mention that. I'm going to just continue on and working my chain of 42. Now for row 1, I'm going to start by working a double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3. We're going to work a double crochet in that stitch and in each stitch across. I'm going to be starting the foundation work here for the ribbing. So go ahead and work 1 double crochet in each stitch across. At the end of this row, you should have a total of 40 double crochets, and that is not including the chain 2 at the beginning of the row. This is what you should have after completing row 1. Now for row 2, this is where we officially begin the ribbing rows. We're going to chain 2. Now we're going to begin the ribbing, and we're going to work a chain 2 at the beginning of the row. We're going to skip the first stitch, and then we're going to work a front post double crochet. And the way we do this is we wrap the hook around the body of the stitch, kind of like giving it a belt. We wrap the hook, pull up a loop, and we just complete the double crochet like we normally would. For a back post, we wrap, come in the back side, the hook goes around the stitch like so, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and we complete that double crochet, but on the back side. So we're going to work front post, double crochet, followed by a back post, double crochet all the way across, and it produces this lovely ribbed effect. Front post, double crochet, back post, double crochet, front post, double crochet, and back post, double crochet. So go ahead and work that all the way across, and I will show you how this row ends. Row 2 ends by working a front post, double crochet on that last stitch, and then we're going to work a half double into the turning chain. So thereby our stitch count still remains the same at 40 stitches, not including the turning chain. So now we're going to chain 2, turn, and we're going to work row 3. We skip that first stitch, and we start off this row with a back post, double crochet, followed by a front post, double crochet, back post, double crochet, followed by a front post. Do be sure that as you crochet these, that you're crocheting columns. You see these lines that are forming? You don't want to disrupt that. So if you feel the stitch is a back post, we're going to work a back post over that stitch, and for front post, a front post. So go ahead and work that all the way across the row. Row 3 ends with a back post, double crochet, and a half double worked into that turning chain. So this is what you should have after completing 3 rows. All right, for row 4, we're going to turn, chain 2, and this is just like row number 2. We're going to skip that first stitch. We're going to work a front post, double crochet, followed by a back post, double crochet, front post, double crochet, back post, double crochet. So go ahead and work that all the way across the row. This row ends by working a front post, double crochet, and then a half double into that turning chain. And this is what you should have after completing 4 rows. We have one more row of ribbing. Let's go ahead and chain 2 and skipping that first stitch, and this one is going to begin with the back post, and you can again feel that stitch back there. So back post, double crochet, followed by a front post, double crochet, back post, followed by a front post. And I must say, although this may be interesting to some, I am loving the way this yarn is starting to look. It's giving you a better feel of what this is going to look like instead of just looking at the ball of yarn. So go ahead, finish row 5 with those back post double crochets, followed by the front post double crochets, and I'll show you how the row ends. At the end of row 5, we work a back post double crochet, followed by a half double. Okay, so this is what your ribbed section should look like, and for the most part it is reversible at this point. But now we're going to turn. So after turning, we're going to begin the Primrose stitch pattern. We're going to start with a chain 2. We're going to skip that first stitch, and working in the next, working through the top loops, we're going to work a single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet. We're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the next stitch, we're going to work a single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet. And we're going to do this all the way across the row. Skip 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. skip 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So we're going to work that all the way across the row. At the end of the row, we're going to skip those last 2 stitches and we're going to work a single crochet into that turning chain. Let's go ahead and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 little clusters that we've completed. Okay, so that is again row 6, which is the beginning of the primrose pattern. So now this is the next part. We're going to turn. We're going to chain 3. We're going to skip that first stitch, first single crochet, and we're going to skip that first single crochet of the cluster, and we're only going to work in the chain 2 spaces as we work this across. Okay, so we go into that next chain 2 space. We're going to work 3 double crochets. Just like that. Okay, we're going to skip the next single crochet. And again, we're just working in the next chain 2 cluster, and we work 3 double crochets. Skip to the next chain. I might have said chain 3, it's a chain 2. Chain 2 space, and we work 3 double crochets. I guess it's so much fun to see how these colors are changing. Into the next chain 2 space. Again, 3 double crochets. All right, so go ahead and work that all the way across. At the end of this row, we're going to work a double crochet in that turning chain, and this is what you should have. This is at the end of 7 rows. Okay, now I'm going to turn for row 8. We're going to chain 1, 2 chains. We're going to skip the first stitch, and we're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to work only in the center double crochet as we work across. So we're going to work that single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. Again, skip that next stitch, skip the next stitch, and working again in the central or the second stitch of that cluster, we work single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and we're going to do that all the way across. Skip the next 2, and as you're skipping stitches, make sure again that you're working in the center double crochet, single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet. I'll do this one more time. Skip 2 stitches, and again in that center double crochet, single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet. All right, so let's work that all the way across the row. At the end of row 8, we're just going to work a single crochet into that turning chain. So what we're going to do from this point until we reach the length of the scarf that we desire, minus the 1 inch or so, we are going to repeat rows 7 and 8. So row 7 and 8 over and over and over again. I'll go ahead and start row 9, which again is the same as row 7. We chain 3, skip that first stitch, and working only in the chain 2 space, we work 3 double crochets. Let's make sure I pull through all the loops. That makes it complete. There we go. So 3 double crochets, and skip to the next chain 2 space, 3 double crochets, etc. So this is the pattern stitch that we're going to repeat. And what's nice about this is If you want a short scarf, you can make this a shorter scarf. If you want this a longer scarf, you can make this as long as you'd like. And quite honestly, both sides are beautiful. So it is technically reversible. Okay, so go ahead and work that until you reach the length that you desire. Of course, don't forget to account for the 1 inch or so. Let me go ahead and give you an exact measurement, because I'm sure somebody out there is going to want the exact measurement. Okay, it's more like a 1.5 inch. Okay, so minus the 1.5 inch, go ahead and make this as long as you would like. And then when I return, I will tell you the length that I have gotten from this one skein of yarn, and we'll work the transition rows to take us back to the ribbing. I've repeated rows 6 and 7 a total of 68 additional times. Now, the absolute number of repeats is not so important as to how long you would like your scarf. As is, this one, I'm going to transition now to the ribbing, which will add an additional inch. But the way this has worked out with those 68 repeats, this is approximately 44 inches long. By the time I finish this, it's going to be in the ballpark of about 45 inches. So if you have additional yarn, you want to make yours longer or even shorter, you just feel free to do that just by varying the number of repeats. So now to transition back to the ribbing, we're going to chain 2, and be sure that you do end on the row, which would be row 7, which has the double crochets. All right, so we're going to skip that first stitch, and we're simply going to work a front post double crochet followed by a back post double crochet, front post double crochet, back post, and we're going to work that all the way across. This row ends by working a front post double crochet in that last double crochet, and then we're going to work a half double in the turning chain. Let's go ahead and turn. Row 2 of the finishing ribbing, we're going to chain 2, skip the half double, we're going to work a back post double crochet in that first stitch, or the next stitch rather, and then a front post followed by a back post. This is just like the ribbing we started with. Front post and back post. So go ahead and work that all the way across, being sure that you align the stitches, working front post over front post and back post over back post. Now for rows 3 and 4 of the finishing, we're going to just repeat rows 1 and 2. Row 3 will begin with a chain 2, skip that first stitch, and working a front post double crochet followed by a back post. And when row 4 will have the other side facing, and you will start with a chain 2 and a back post double crochet. So go ahead and work rows 3 and 4. At the end of the 4th row, we're just going to give it a chain and a tug. And if you want to give it an extra chain to kind of fasten, and we can fasten it off, that might give a little extra security here. And pull that on through, give it a nice tug. Now you're not going to see these knots that we just fashioned here, because we are going to hide these well into the fabric. We're going to just thread the needle like that. Now, since this scarf is reversible, it really doesn't matter where you hide it in. And I think with the color changing yarn, it's going to, it's going to be helpful. It's not going to be seen, is what I'm trying to say, because there's such a variety of colors throughout. So what you want to do is just hide this into the work. And what I like to do is I like to go down quite a bit. Sorry about that. And then come the opposite direction into some of the stitches. I promise this will not be seen. Whether it's a solid color or, you know, a variegated like this is, it's going to be pretty well disguised into the work. So we bring it up another direction. That's actually pretty good. And let's go ahead and pull back on it some. And then cut close to the stitches, but don't cut the stitches. And it is hidden forever. So we only have one other strand to hide since this was a one skein wonder project. Let's go ahead and take a look how these beautiful colors worked out, almost like planned pooling in places. Isn't that beautiful? Of course, depending on the hand-dyed yarn you use, it may not look exactly like this, but I'm sure it will be beautiful. And again, it also works very well for solid colors, and you can use any size yarn you like. Just make sure that you upsize the hook if you change from the original size. Well, I hope you enjoyed making the easy Primrose scarf with me today. If you did, I would love to hear from you. Please feel free to comment in the comment section below. God bless. Bye-bye.